Hi, this is TD here with a review today of Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, which is a new cooperative deck building game that is set in the Harry Potter universe. And what we'll do is we're going to take a look at how to play the game and then my thoughts and opinions as to whether or not this game is actually worth it. And after Gen Con, this game had a lot of buzz, so we'll find out if that buzz was justified or not. So in Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, as I said, you are playing cooperatively as a team. You'll play as characters such as Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and what you're looking to do is you're looking to go through and defeat all of the villains. An example might be Draco Malfoy. Once you work through all of the villains, you guys will win the game. However, as the game goes by, each turn, what you're going to do is you are going to reveal some of these dark arts cards, which signifies the villains fighting back against you. So here is He Who Must Not Be Named, which adds 1 influence to the current location. So the way that the villains win is they will, over time, gain these influence tokens, and they will place them on the locations. And so, for example, the first location of the game is Diagon Alley. And once 4 control tokens have been placed, you go from that location to the next, as this one is fully influenced by the villains. And if they're able to get through all of the locations, the heroes lose the game. And the thing about it is as you go from one location to the next location, typically the game gets harder. Not only that, these could make you add influence tokens to the location, it could make you lose hearts, it could make you do a lot of things. So for example, this added 1 location, and then Draco Malfoy's ability would activate, which says each time a location is added to the location, an active hero would lose 2 hearts. So I would come down here and I'd lose 2 health, which obviously is not good. So to fight back from that, you are going to play a deck building game, which most people are going to know the rules to, but in case you don't, a deck building game is where you start with a very rudimentary deck. So you have 10 cards in this case, and a lot of these cards are very, very basic. So you might have some spells, for example, which give you a coin. You might have some allies, such as Hedwig here, which give you a fight, or maybe you could choose instead to gain 2 hearts. And then you might even have some items like the invisibility cloak, which have their own special abilities, or a firebolt broom that would give you 1 attack. And so what you're going to do is you're going to spend your attack to defeat the villains. Once you get to 6 attack for this specific villain, you would defeat him and you would move on to the next. You might spend your coins over here to gain new and better cards. Maybe you want Hagrid or Dumbledore or the Sorting Hat, or maybe even a Quidditch Snitch. So over time, you're going to buy cards, which would immediately go into your discard pile. And at the end of your turn, all of the cards that you played will also go into your discard pile. On your next turn, you're going to draw a handful of cards. You're going to play them. Maybe you buy another card. And then all of a sudden, you're going to realize when you go to draw a new hand of cards, you don't have any cards. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your discard pile, including all the cards that you have bought. You'll shuffle them and draw more new cards. And as you shuffle and draw and discard and shuffle and draw again, you're going to slowly build your deck with new, better cards, which helps you to win and beat the game. So that's a general overview of how to play the game, and I would dive into more, but it truly is a very simplistic and rudimentary game, so I don't think anybody's going to have difficulty learning the rules, especially not if you've already played a deck building game. So let's dive into my review. So the first thing I got to say is that people are going to be wary that there are spoilers for this game. You're going to go through book 1 all the way through book 7. And each time you go through a book, you're going to reveal new cards, new rules, and a host of other things. And what's interesting is that I think people are going to expect that this may be a legacy style game, kind of like Pandemic or Risk Legacy or maybe even Seafall. And I don't think that's actually the case. I don't think there's truly any spoilers to be had in this game, but if you're really, really worried about it, which I would not be, I would say maybe to take a pass on the rest of the video, but again, I just don't think anything is truly going to be a spoiler. So that's just a fair warning, even though, yet again, I don't think you have anything to worry about. So when you unbox this game, I think the first thing is going to be that it looks like a luggage case, and this is really, really thick cardboard. It's a very well presented box. You get into the rule book, which is extremely thick cardstock. And one of my first few complaints is that the rule book isn't quite as clear as it should be on a couple of rules, which for, again, a game as simplistic as this, I don't think should necessarily happen, and it's unfortunate because if you change some wording, add some examples, added some text, you could alleviate a lot of those questions that I had. I shouldn't say it was a ton, but it was a handful, 2 or 3 maybe. You're going to, as you go throughout the game, go through, books 1 through 7. Each time you go through a book, you're going to reveal a new set of rules. Those rules can be put in the back pocket area of the rule book, which is kind of neat, and again goes to the components and how good they actually are. Inside the box, you'll see each one of these different book scenarios. So for game 1, you're going to open up this book, you'll play it out. If you win, you go to game 2, win that, go to game 3, so on and so forth. Each game is going to include a new rule or 2, and an example might be, instead of you facing 1 villain at a time, maybe you have to face 2 villains or 3 villains at a time. Another example is, instead of these locations where you only reveal 1 dark arts card, maybe future locations make you reveal 2 dark arts cards per location. Maybe you might have to fight Voldemort, or maybe your character will gain a special ability, or you might be able to start rolling dice, which gives everybody special abilities. Or maybe you might get new cards that help you, with better, stronger abilities. And that's the type of things that you're going to find in these. And it is cool because, as you go through the games, certain things that happen in book 4 or book 7 will come out in the corresponding set of cards. And so it's neat to go through that, but I think they missed an opportunity because, again, people are going to view this as Pandemic Legacy or Risk Legacy as if there's some sort of story to it, and there really truly isn't. I think each game is game as it's defined here is really its own standalone contained thing, and they don't link all that well together, which again I just think is a missed opportunity. I think also the game, again, is very simplistic. You're drawing cards, you're spending money, you're attacking villains. I mean, you're working together as a team. We'll touch on the cooperative aspect of it, but really it doesn't have anything tremendously unique or interesting about the gameplay. And if you're going to do comparison, I would say that the amount of rules is maybe a click less than something like a Legendary or an Ascension, which both of those games are already pretty basic. So I think it's good for people who are, maybe not necessarily board game fans, but they are Harry Potter fans. I think this is a great gateway game to get people into the hobby, and I think that this is going to appeal to a wide audience so that they could sell this at Walmart, for example, or maybe even Barnes & Noble, instead of just your friendly local game store that most people probably drive by every day and never take a look at. As I mentioned a couple seconds ago, the game is cooperative, and if there's one thing that I'm going to say that's positive about it being simplistic, other than that it would draw in new players to the hobby, I think the cooperative aspect of it was actually done pretty well despite the simplistic nature of the game. I think that a lot of especially character special abilities encourage you to consider helping out another teammate rather than just yourself. I think rolling some of these dice that benefits everybody, not just yourself, encourages you to buy things that can help everybody and not just yourself. So I think from that perspective, it does a good job of encouraging cooperative play, which is really, really important in a cooperative game, because a lot of times you can get in these situations where it feels like even though you're working together as a team, you're not necessarily helping each other out other than working towards a common goal. And I think that's a missed opportunity in a lot of cooperative games. Not the case here. You do have to cooperate, and it's good in that sense. I think also the Harry Potter theme, I think it really shines through. You'll notice that the artwork is stills from the movie in a lot of cases. Some other cases, not so much. Like, for example, this sorting hat is unique artwork to the game. But you know what? They've actually done a great job of mixing unique artwork for this game with stills, and I think maybe not necessarily that the mechanics of the gameplay speak the theme, but the overall feel, look, the game definitely feels like Harry Potter, and I think that's a good thing, because again, if you love the Harry Potter theme, and there are tons of people, myself included, that do, this is going to be a great fit for you. There are several negatives. I think the first of which is these dark arts cards, especially in combination with some of the villains, can really feel like you're just getting beat up by, you're in a boxing match with the game, and there are haymakers being thrown left and right, and you just have to take it. So sometimes you might reveal one of these dark arts cards, and it says something along the lines of take 3 damage. So you come over here, you start with 8 health, you go down to 5 health, and then it says, oh, by the way, since you took 3 damage, also go ahead and draw another dark arts card. And that dark art says add a location. And then Draco Malfoy down here says every time you add a location, lose 2 more hearts. And then, oh, by the way, you got to draw an extra dark arts card because the first one, even though you drew 2 cards, really only counted as 1 because the first card told you to draw an extra one. And next thing you know, you got to draw another card which tells you to lose a heart and your teammates lose a heart, and it's just like you're losing hearts left and right. I mean, there are literally some turns where you could lose 8+ hearts all in one turn. And if you ever become stunned, not only do you have to add 1 to the location, which progresses the villains, but you also have to take away half of your hand. So you got to discard half your hand, which can really put you at a loss. And some of these villain combinations out here, an example might be if you get a Dementor, which takes away 2 hearts literally every single turn at the beginning of your turn, or Professor Quirrell, which takes away 1 heart at the beginning of your turn. Next thing you know, not only are you drawing dark arts that make you lose health, but then you got to take 3 hearts down from the Dementor and Quirrell, and that's where you start racking them up, and it just can be brutal. But on the flip side of that, there have been several games where specific cards can let you remove 1 from a location. And then when you tag that with your own special abilities, like for example, one of Harry's special abilities might say, when you remove 1 from a location, get an extra fight. And then all of a sudden, you're just removing locations left and right. And I've had several games where my wife and I, at the end of the game, had 0 control on the first location. We never had to move on. We both, in some occasions, had full health, and we just steamrolled the entire game. So it's crazy because I would say 7 out of 10 times the game is super easy, and then I would say 2 times out of 10 the game is tremendously difficult, and then 1 time out of 10 you actually get a fairly balanced game. So we did play this game 10 times. We went through all 7 scenarios. We played scenario 7 twice. We played scenario 4 I think 3 times. We played the rest once. I don't know if that math perfectly adds up, but we did play the game 10 times. And other than the difficulty spikes and it being too easy, I would say we really enjoyed ourselves, but we're definitely biased. I mean, we love cooperative games, we love deck building games, we love the Harry Potter theme, and I think if you find yourself in any one of those 3 cases, I think this might be worth looking at. That being said, with all the buzz coming out of Gen Con, does this really live up to the hype? Maybe not so much. And I think if you've been wary of other simplistic cooperative deck building games, a la Ascension, Legendary, you name it, unless you have a real affinity for the theme, I would hold off on this. So, hopefully that helps you determine whether or not Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is right for you. Me personally, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. We really enjoyed our 10 playthroughs, and I would think, given some time away from the game, we will definitely pick it back up in the future. So that's Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. For now, you guys take care.